Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the amazing show, Everything They Never Told You. I'm Joe Wilson, host today with my good friend, Joe Wirbick with Sequinox.
Sequinox, yes.
So glad you're here. Thanks for having us.
Well, I'm happy to be here, Joe, and it's going to be easy. Two Joes. I think this will be a fun day.
Hello, Joe. Exactly. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we're glad you're here with us. It is an amazing time when you look at the investment and retirement world. We like to say a lot, the modern retiree, because things have shifted pretty significantly over the last 20 and 30 years when it comes to retirement. Joe, I want to start this off with just naming a few things. I want to get your opinion. We're looking at multiple global wars. You see in the Wall Street Journal and in the news every night, the dollar losing value. We're at all-time highs of the market. We're seeing bond yields solid, but there's so much uncertainty with the modern retiree. What are the modern retirees right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania to do?
Well, I think they should be sitting down with somebody and getting advice and not just listening to what's going on in the news. The media isn't out there to be your friend. The media isn't out there to help you. The media isn't out there to build your plan or to help you retire. They're out there to sell clicks, to sell views, and to create, I hate to say it, panic.
Yeah, boy, and that's true.
And there's a lot of panic going on. My clients, I've seen it. I've seen concern. I've seen fear.
Yeah.
And it's coming from the media. And if you're just watching the news, if you're just watching television, it's not really going to help you understand what really is going on behind the scenes and how you should be handling your dollars.
When you look at the Wall Street Journal was back in December 2024, put an article out that just said the number one fear of the modern retiree is running out of money. I know you work with so many folks across Pennsylvania, and you even have a practice out in Arizona and Scottsdale. That's kind of nice. Hopefully you visit that a lot in the winter. But when you meet with these folks, are you seeing that common concern? And how are you all addressing it there at your firm?
I think that concern comes from a lack of knowledge.
All right.
If you haven't had a plan built, if you haven't sat down with an advisor, you really have no idea how much you're going to need, how much you're going to be spending, what the tax implications are going to be. And so there will be that fear, do I have enough money? Whether your retirement portfolio has $500,000 or $5 million or $10 million, you're worried because no one has showed you the path to success in retirement.
How many times when people come in to visit with you guys, do you see folks and feel like you maybe this is you have a statement and you've saved and you've amassed some wealth, but that's not a plan? How many times do you see folks come in and they have planned for inflation and taxes? I know we want to talk about that here today.
How many times have I seen people who have planned for inflation?
Yes.
Or who have come in to see me with a plan? I mean, you folks out there, do you have a plan? Have you sat down with somebody and built a plan to help you get to where you want to be? Do you even know what you need in retirement? Do you know what your required distributions are going to look like? Do you know what your taxes are going to look like? Do you know what the pitfalls are in the retirement that could sink that retirement ship for you? You probably don't, unfortunately. So I would say 99 out of 100 don't have a plan or have no idea how to even approach retirement successfully.
Which would completely fall in line with why the number one fear right now out there is running out of money, because there is the certainty of uncertainty in these markets. I mean, think about it. You've got the Fed raising rates late, some say, not lowering rates where they should, some say now. They were late here, they're early here. It's affecting everyday folks. When you sit down with those folks that come into you and say they do have that $1 million, where do you all start your process? Because you've done this for a long time. CFP, 28 years. You obviously have a clear path record of helping the modern retiree get there in Pennsylvania. Where do you start?
Well, I start by asking, what do they want? I need to know what that individual is looking for before I can build a plan for them.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to just put together recommendations and put money in different investments until I know what that individual is looking for. Are they going to continue working for 10 more years? Or are they going to retire next year? And then what are they spending? What is their income? I can't stand these commercials where they talk about what's your number.
Oh, I know.
How much money the average retiree needs. That's complete and utter bullcrap, because every single person is different. You're different out there. You are different than your neighbor. And if you're listening to these advertisements that are trying to tell you, do you have enough saved? If they don't know what you want, how would they even know if you have enough saved? So we have to start there and figure out, what do you want?
It's a spending plan.
Yeah, I mean, you need a spending plan. Yeah, of course you do.
Because that's what you got to project out to start with your planning.
But I need to know, how much are you going to spend?
Yeah.
You know, what have you been spending in your entire life? How much have you been spending? Because if you're a big spender, you're going to need more money. And if you aren't a big spender, you probably can get by with less. I've had clients retire on a few $100,000.
That's amazing.
And successfully retire. I mean, some of my happiest clients have just a few $100,000 in retirement because they aren't spending $15,000, $20,000 a month. You know,
but you started with a plan.
You started with a plan.
So would you call that an income plan? And then I'm assuming there's two things we've got to talk about this show. I want to get into one of them before we go to break. But when you look at inflation and you look at it is astronomical what's affecting folks today. When you look at just from 2020, $100,000 in 2020 is going to feel more like $125,000 today. And I think that's why so many folks are probably calling into your show and seeing you going, boy, we've saved, but things are a little bit tight. They've mismanaged inflation.
They've mismanaged inflation, but they might have mismanaged Social Security, or they don't know how to use Social Security. I mean, Social Security can really help with inflation in my mind, because if you plan for Social Security accurately, that will take away a large chunk of that income need in retirement. But if you do what over 50% of Americans do and you take it early, you're going to have a lot less, and you are really going to be in trouble when inflation starts eating that away. But the beautiful thing about Social Security is it has a built-in inflation adjustment.
Cost of living adjustment.
Cost of living adjustment. It's going to raise that money for you. So if you can plan properly, if you can make sure that you're selecting the right time to take your Social Security, that's going to take 40, 50, maybe 60% of your income needs off the table. And then it's just, how are you going to get the rest of the money? Do you have a pension? Probably not. I mean, most people don't have pensions.
Few and far between.
Yeah. And if they do, they're getting smaller and smaller.
Absolutely.
You know, or they're going to offer you a lump sum, and you may not even choose to take the pension. You may take the lump sum option. So it's you got to plan. You got to know how inflation's going to infect. Well, it actually works.
Yeah.
It's going to infect your dollars. Yeah. It's going to affect it, and it's going to infect it. And then you have to plan for that. You know, you have to know what you need now, and then we adjust for that every single year so that you're getting a retirement raise for the rest of your life.
Joe, we need to go to break. And folks, I want to ask you right now, if you're sitting there at home listening to this, we're going to make it really easy for you to get in touch with Joe and his team. First thing you do is you pick up the phone, 844-403-2275. The phone lines are open right now. Or maybe you just want to take out your phone and click on that QR code and actually fill out a little information, and Joe and his team will reach out to you to help you with a plan that'll allow you to be retirement ready, but more importantly, stay retirement ready. You're looking and watching right now everything they never told you. Question I'm going to ask you right now is, have they told you how much money you can take out starting in retirement, adjusted for taxes and inflation, and stay retired as long as you have breath in your body? If they haven't, we're going to dive into that right when we come back. Thank you so much. Stick with us. We'll be back soon.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there or be square. Happy birthday to you. As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Everything They Never Told You. Having a great show here, Joe. Before we went to break, we were talking about just inflation and taxes and the impact. Because you've done this for so long, I want us to spend the next few moments of this show helping the folks here in Pennsylvania see what are some common mistakes right now that you are seeing day in and day out as people call off this show that they should be doing today. Don't even wait to fix this today. Let's start with that.
I think the biggest mistake, and it leads into, I think, one of the biggest lies that have been told to our American people is that when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. When you retire, you're going to be pulling out maybe less because your taxes are going to be lower. And that's just not the case. Because what we found over the last 23 years at Sequinox working with my wonderful clients is that you're good savers and you've put a lot of money away. You saved a lot of money. And unfortunately, you were told to save that money on a pre-tax basis and let it grow tax deferred. And then when you go to take it out, you have to pay the taxes in the future.
Right.
And it's that right there is what is going to hit and bite a lot of people in the rear end when they go to retire. They're going to go to access that 401k or access that IRA, and every single penny that comes out is going to be taxed at whatever future rate we're exposed to. Now, we just had one of the biggest tax reduction bills pass.
Pretty heavy.
Huge. And it has a lot of potential to save a lot of the viewers thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes if they take advantage of the next 4 years. I mean, that additional standard deduction is huge.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at taking the opportunity, and you should be looking at this, should you have your money in that pre-tax IRA, or should you be looking at tax-free Roth IRAs? And I think with this tax bill that passed, huge opportunity.
Well, it was set to expire.
It was going to expire in 2020.
And it's almost like a baseball game on a perfect spring day where the home team gets some innings back or runs back, and all of a sudden we're going into extra innings. It's extra innings, and maybe you haven't even started tax conversion strategy. You haven't even heard this before. This is the time for you to act, because you're right. It is a window that's been extended, and what a great opportunity. When you go back and look, as you're talking about the tax dollars going in, deferring the tax. It's funny to me when the 401k was started, when you go back into the late 70s, tax brackets were significantly higher. And the 401k was never designed to be a standalone investment vehicle. In fact, it was given to higher income earning CEOs for a chance for them to lower their taxes now, because the thought was as they got older and retired, they would be in a bigger bracket or a lower bracket. As we've seen this shift, walk to me about when people start to convert. Do you do it all at once? Do you do it in stages? Because so many people hear the idea, why I know a Roth is good, or they get confused. I make too much money for a Roth. Break that down for us here before we break.
Before you decide to convert, you want to find out, does it make sense for you to convert? You know, you have to have that plan in place. You have to sit down with somebody. And about 7 years ago, I hired a team of computer engineers, software engineers, to create one of the most advanced Roth conversion softwares on the market. So I can sit down with my clients, and in 2 to 3 minutes, I can show them what their tax picture looks like if they do no conversions, and how much tax they
how valuable is that?
By doing conversions. And we can see the numbers. I mean, numbers, that's what I love about math.
It is what it is.
Numbers don't lie.
That's right.
You know, 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. And if I can show you $1 million of taxes in retirement or $500,000 of taxes in retirement, it's a no-brainer. Go with the lower taxes.
Well, we've also seen the rules change. You know, I know you like to call it legislative risk. The people on the Hill, we vote them in every 2 years. They can change the rules, and we saw that benefit right now. But there's also some challenges a few years ago where those, when we pass, obviously the spouse gets that money, but then the next generation, some big changes have happened. If you're going to leave a legacy, break down a little bit of that here.
So originally, when you inherited a retirement account, an IRA, a Roth IRA, you were allowed to, if you weren't a spouse, this is kids.
Correct.
You know, spouse inherits the account, it becomes their account. It was as if their deceased spouse never existed. It's now their retirement account. But when that individual dies and leaves it to their children, used to be they could stretch it out over their entire life. 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And the IRS says, no, we don't want to wait that long to get taxed. We're going to shrink that down to 10 years. And on top of that, they're going to make you take distributions if it's an IRA. If it's a 401k, they're going to force your heirs to take taxable distributions every single year during that 10-year time period. And then the last year, all of it has to come out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So if you've been a good saver and you've put a lot of money away, you have $1 million, let's say you only have $500,000, that could cause hundreds of thousands of dollars of unwanted taxes to your heirs. But if you sit down, you do the plan, you figure out, can I save some tax dollars by doing conversions? And you inherit that as a Roth, it's tax-free.
Well, let's explain what a Roth is. Let's start there.
Okay, so a traditional 401k, a traditional IRA, when you put the money into the account, you don't pay the taxes because you're in the belief that I'm going to retire to a lower tax bracket.
Well, and that's how we've always done it, right? That's why we say it's the modern retiree. Things have changed.
Because in the 70s, top taxes were 70, 80%.
Yeah.
Reagan came along in 87, slashed taxes in half.
Absolutely.
And now we have a complete different tax picture. So that 401k was designed for a different time period than what we're living in today. So you have that IRA, you put the money in, you didn't pay the tax, it grows, hopefully, it grows over time. And then when you retire, when you go to touch those dollars, they're taxed at whatever the future tax rates are. And we don't know what those rates are going to be. We know what they are now. We know what they're probably going to be for the next 4 years, but we don't know if they're ever going to go back.
Well, we've
the
got
way they were in
36 plus
60,
trillion
70.
dollars in debt. I'd have to think the banks would get a little hairy.
Yeah, we have about 36 to 37 trillion in debt and about 40 trillion in IRAs. It's kind of an interesting,
Fascinating.
amount of money sitting there that could be taxed. So the IRA grows tax deferred and then has to be taxed. The Roth, you pay the taxes now at, frankly, the lowest tax rates this country has seen since the early 1900s.
That's the third lowest.
And then never taxed again. No required distributions. Doesn't cause your Medicare premium to go up because of IRMA. Maybe you never heard of IRMA. Income related medical adjustment amount. If you make too much money in retirement, your Medicare premium goes up.
Yeah, how about that?
You pay taxes on Social Security, your Medicare premium goes up. You're paying taxes on your required distributions. But if you have a Roth IRA, the money is never forced to come out.
And it doesn't count against you on the IRMA.
Doesn't count against you if you choose to take it out. It comes out tax-free. Doesn't hurt Medicare, doesn't hurt Social Security. And then if you don't spend it all, which if you have a proper plan, you won't spend it all, because you'll know how much to pull out.
That's right.
Right? And then when you pass on, that goes to your heirs and they get 10 years of tax-free growth that they don't have to take anything out. I mean, imagine the power to create legacies for future generations. I mean, you get the benefit today of converting to the lowest tax rates we've seen in years, right? Saving tax dollars for yourself, and then creating a legacy that is tax-free for the next generation, which could go on. Maybe that generation invested properly. Maybe this is a multi-generational amount of wealth we're talking about here, or it could be a gigantic tax nightmare.
Well, folks, listen, if you're watching this, you say, man, I've never heard this. I'm glad you're watching because it is everything they never told you. The challenge is how much do you convert now and how much do you convert next year? And wouldn't you like to know that? You just heard from my man, Joe. They've got an amazing program that will allow you to have a clear understanding of when and how much you can get rid of that tax time bomb. You have a plan, and if you choose to do nothing, it is the government plan. And I promise you, that is not a plan you really want to go into with your eyes closed. You need a clear understanding of what hidden debt you could be sitting on. Want to find out how to get that information? 844-403-2275. How much is a meeting with you?
How much is a meeting with me?
Yeah.
Complimentary.
How about that? Absolutely. Or you can take out your phone QR code and set up a time to meet with Joe and his team to help you put on a tax-efficient plan that allows you and your generations to come to be in a better position because you are going to learn something that you've never been told. You're watching Everything They Never Told You. Stick around. We're going to come right back and wrap this up.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Everything They Never Told You. I'm with Joe Wirbick. I'm telling you, this is a great show because there's so many things that are affecting the modern retiree. And it's not what you have, it's what you get to keep. We're talking about this ticking tax time bomb that so many folks are really sitting on right now in their 401ks, 403bs, maybe you're a government worker, 457 or an IRA. And there's so many tools that you can just make yourself available to so you have a better understanding of how to make sure your dollars work on your behalf. Joe, you were talking about a story on the break. I want you to share that with the team about how you helped somebody through this situation recently.
You know, what people need to realize, they need to understand that that money they've been putting in the 401k, in the IRA, it can sit there and it can grow tax deferred for years, decades.
Which is nice.
Which is great because it's not going to affect your income. It's not going to cause you to pay taxes. But there comes a day, and that day has been pushed back. It used to be 70 and a half.
You're talking about required minimum distribution.
Then it was 72. Now it's 73. Then it'll be 75. And that's when the RMD, the required minimum distribution, comes a call. And that means that you, everybody out there who has that retirement account, you have to take money out. You're forced to withdraw money from that retirement account.
No choice.
You have to.
They smack the fire out of you.
They smack you with taxes. They tax you for not taking your taxable money, which is just insane if you ask me. You have to take it out. You have to pay the taxes. And if you don't know what your RMD is going to be, then you need to call us. You need to sit down with me. Let me show you in just a few minutes how much you're going to be forced to take out of your retirement account. Then, how is that money going to affect? In fact, I said it again. How is it going to affect the taxes on your Social Security? Is it going to cause you to pay more money on your Medicare premium? Because you may not want that money, but you're forced to take it out. So I had a client years ago. This was back when RMDs were 70 and a half. And this is what drove me to become a guy who talked about Roth so passionately. Yeah. He was with me for years, and he paid $200-300 of taxes. He had a nice pension, Social Security, but it was the right amount that he wasn't paying much in taxes. And he came into my office and he was upset. He was angry, and I was concerned. I thought, what did I do? Did we do something? Why? You know, what is upsetting you? And he throws his tax returns down. He goes, look, Joe, $10,000 in taxes. He goes, last year I paid $200. Now I'm paying $10,000 in taxes. And I realized, he turned 70 and a half. He had to take that required distribution. Where before his Social Security was basically tax-free, his pension was being wiped out by his standard deduction and his exemption at that time. But now this massive required distribution came along, and now all of his Social Security is basically taxable. He's paying more Medicare, $200 and $10,000 in taxes that he didn't want to pay.
Yeah.
And now I know ahead of time, had we done small conversions, had we just made simple changes. And with this new One Big Beautiful Bill that just came out, if you're over 65 and you make less than $150,000 a year, you get an additional, as a married couple, $12,000 of deduction.
That's amazing.
You get nearly $16,000 per person. Then you get $2,000 because you're over 65. Then between 25 and 28, they give you another $12,000. So in 2025, the first $46,700 is 100% tax-free. And what I see a lot of times is people don't use the full deduction.
Yeah. It's like lazy money. It's lazy money.
It's free dollars.
Yes.
It's sitting there. So why wouldn't we, again, build a plan where we look and see what are your tax dollars? What are you paying in taxes today? Or if you're not paying any taxes, how can we take this gift? Because that's the way I look at it. Anything that's good.
That's a window and it's an opportunity.
You know, it's a huge opportunity. Let's take it and let's do some maybe tax-free conversions. I mean, I can't even believe I'm saying that. But maybe I can get some of those pre-tax dollars converted without taxes so that they become tax-free in the future. Now, that will run out eventually because you're going to hit that standard
But
deduction.
carpe diem, seize the day. Yes. And I think you need to be asking yourself right now, maybe you're on the couch and you're going, why hasn't my advisor ever talked to me about this?
Because they're an advisor. They're not a planner. That's a huge difference. And unfortunately, most Americans don't know this, that there's a difference between what a planner does and what an advisor does. Most advisors are just going to hawk some investments to you, sit back and hope that they go up in value, collect their fee, and that's it. I mean, a planner is going to do just that. They're going to plan. They're going to plan the income. They're going to plan the taxes. They're going to plan for liabilities.
You can only spend after-tax dollars. And wouldn't you want to have an opportunity to convert that in the window we have right now? It is extra innings of baseball.
Awesome.
And you must maximize and optimize the current window we have because it is your money. And this is the window to do it.
And it's
This
short.
is the window to do it.
And it's going away.
How do people reach out to you?
I mean, they can hit the QR code on the screen. They can dial the number. They can visit my website. There's many different ways they can reach out to us.
When you look at folks that typically come to you, you've been very clear. This is passion where you hammer and hammering them.
Oh.
How many folks hear this? We just got a few minutes left. Hear this for the first time and are just in awe. And just saying, why wouldn't we do this now?
It's amazing when you're shown something you didn't know existed. You know, it's one of my favorite quotes, Mark Twain. It's not what you know, it's what you know that just ain't so. And that's the situation. They just don't know what they don't know. And when you sit down with a planner, we give you that information that you never knew or they never told you. That's our job, to tell you what you haven't been told, because your advisor isn't a planner. And that's what we're here for, to get you to retire, hopefully 100% tax-free.
Folks, you get one shot at retirement. I want you to sit right now where you are in your home and think, man, do I have a 401k? Do I have IRAs? What do I have sitting on that I have never paid taxes on? Then I want you to realize that it's not all your money, and it is a ticking tax time bomb, but there is a window, and there are tools that you can do right now to put you and your family in the position that you've worked 30, 40 years for. Seize the day. We're having this show, and it's called Everything They Never Told You. You deserve the retirement of your dreams. How do you do that? Pick up the phone, 844-403-2275. Take out your phone and scan that QR code, fill out a little information, and get on Joe and his team's calendar to help you with the retirement of your dreams. You need to be in the know. Today's the day. Thanks for watching. We're going to see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.